I'm super excited because today marks the 100th episode of the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. And in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about what does 100 episodes do to you as a business owner? What lessons did I learn, not about just podcasting, but more so about business and how to really redefine and redevelop our over 20-year-old business, because businesses go through cycles and many times we have to reinvent ourselves. So this episode's all about all the lessons I've learned sticking to podcasting and doing 100 episodes. Almost 2 years is what that means, since we release these once a week. And we're just going to go into some great, exciting, wonderful stories and some business lessons learned. So stay tuned. Welcome to the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Saunders. When we started this business, all I had was a couch, a laptop, and a 9-month-old. My main goal? To help others. Now, with over 20 years in the e-commerce building industry and even more than that in web development, I have seen a lot. I love breaking down the hard tech into easily understandable bits to help others be successful in their online business. Whether you're a seasoned e-commerce veteran or just starting out, you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of e-commerce together. Welcome back to the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. So today we're talking about celebrating our 100th episode. Honestly, we couldn't be here without you, our listeners, and we want to thank you. And we're so appreciative of you listening and giving us feedback, letting us know, what you enjoy, so that we can help serve you and help you in your business and help you with all the lessons we've learned, all the business friends that we've made, and all their lessons they've learned when they come on the show and teach us about their expertise and how it's been for them. So first, let's start off, why did I start this podcast? Well, we started this one, it released first on May 2nd in 2023, but I had the itch to start a podcast for about a year before that. And the reason being, deep down in my soul, and this is the reason I've kept this business for over 22, we're working on 23 years, is that I just absolutely love helping others. And that lights me up. And one of my skills, one of my major skills is technology, understanding technology all the way from, what I would consider a bit more simple, and we're connecting pieces of technology together, all the way to super complicated, and we're doing custom programming and custom web applications for our customers. And I just absolutely love helping people. So I built a team that can do that range of services for our customers. And I do it because I love helping people be not stuck, not afraid, not burdened, not slowed down by technology. I love helping, I love our team helping other businesses, get past that and get through that. So that's the main reason why I have this podcast, is I just love helping others. And if I can teach you to do some things yourself, or at least educate you enough to be better at picking that right developer to work with you, or that right tech VA if you just need, things connected together, and then I've done my job. I've helped you then, do a better job of picking that right perfect person, because not every tech person out there is going to be perfect for you. So some of the lessons I learned, when this is a big one, and this, if you're a perfectionist out there, hold on to your hats. You probably heard this before, but we need to start before we're ready. I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. I still fall into that perfectionist trap. But with this podcast, I was determined. I set myself a date, and I was like, I am starting even if I don't feel ready. I had that date. That date was actually an anniversary date for our business. It was the first day we sold something to a stranger online, May 2nd, 2003, I think it was the first time we sold to a stranger, somebody we didn't know in person. So that's why one of the reasons why I picked that date for the podcast to launch, because it was a bit symbolic. I started this business on accident. No, there was no ready. I didn't start this business on purpose. I started it to help some local businesses here get their stores online, because that was back when the retail was a lot heavier back in 2002, 2003. Retail was a lot heavier. A lot less people were selling their items online. And so start before you're ready. If I had waited till I was ready, I might not even still have started by now. So if you're considering doing something new in your business, like starting a podcast, starting a blog, creating a course, um, selling different products on your website, sometimes you got to start before you're ready. So do a gut check. Are you hesitating because you're trying to be perfect? Or is it really not the right time? So really look into yourself and see what's going on in your brain there. And then I also learned that consistency is key to growth. And thankfully, my podcasting mentors let us know this up front. I'm going to give a shout out to Crystal Profit. If it weren't for her, I don't think I would have ever launched this podcast. And she has been a great mentor and a great supporter of me in doing my podcasting and in my podcasting journey. And she taught us that consistency is the key to growth. She taught us that, your numbers, your download numbers, for example, for a podcast, that's what can be very important. It's going to be potentially slow at first. And don't worry about what other people are doing. Compare yourself to yourself week for week or month for month. And she even says in the beginning, don't obsess over your numbers early on. Just get it done, get moving. And she was totally right. And I expected her to be right. Once we hit, I would say, about a year mark, we really started growing the podcast listeners a lot. And then it even got even further when we were closer to the 1.5 year mark. And I had, quite a few episodes under my belt and word of mouth was getting around. So when you're starting something new with your business and it's the right thing to do, be consistent with it. Don't give up because you don't see the results right away. Think about all the famous people out there, Steve Jobs and, I'm blanking on the Microsoft guy's name right now. I'm sure you guys know it. But they had so many failures before they were successful. They had to wait, for that, consistency to set in and help them then grow. So if you're just starting out on something new, whether it's a new business or just a new segment of your business, and it's the right thing, give yourself grace and be consistent with it. Even when life gets busy, showing up matters. I only missed one podcast episode in the 100 episodes. And that was because I was deathly ill for 2 weeks with the flu, and I just didn't have any extra episodes like queued up that I could throw in there. So I think I did a replay of a really good episode. But, that was really my only time I missed, because I was determined, even if I had to record the day before, I was determined to get this done because I had made a commitment, and it was very important to me to say yes to me and to not let myself down and potentially not let my listeners down if I had some already that were, really into the show and, looking forward to it every week. I wanted to make sure I was there for them as well. So create a simple, sustainable schedule that works for you, especially when we're talking about content creation. I knew I could do the podcast once a week. I knew that was doable. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a stretch, honestly, because I'm running a 27-year-old business with 7 employees at the moment, and I just needed to make sure I could do it. And I knew it was a little bit of a stretch to help me grow, but it wasn't too far of a stretch. I knew with my team behind me, we could get it done because they do help me on some of the production parts of this. And then I also learned that your audience will tell you what you need. I kind of knew this was probably going to happen, but man, it felt like it took forever for me to quite start understanding how they were telling me what they needed. Some of my most downloaded episodes weren't the ones I expected. I think one of my top ones still is the product bundling episode that I released the fall of the first year I was podcasting. It was like in November of 23. It was such a high downloaded episode. So sometimes you'll get some surprising information back from your audience, whether it's your customers are your audience, the people who are buying physical goods from your e-commerce store, or whether you're a coach or a course creator and it's your, social audience and the people who are buying from you and buying your services from you. So you don't want to hold back on releasing content that is you. Like if I hadn't released that product bundling episode, that was actually me. That was my years and years and years of experience seeing how my clients when they bundled products together, really increase their revenue. It's kind of a no-brainer whenever you're, go to buy something and there's something else that goes along with it that you won't have to have, but it helps enhance that original product. It's kind of a no-brainer many times for that person to go ahead and buy both items. And that's the principle behind the product bundling episode, is that we want to make it easy for our customers to be buying more from us. And you could, apply this to services, and you can apply this to physical goods as well. So, produce what's inside you, produce the knowledge that's inside you. Don't be afraid to share what you have. If I'd been afraid to share that, thinking, oh, nobody will really want to learn about product bundling, I wouldn't have one of my top listened to episodes right there. And that was early on. That was only about 6-ish months into podcasting. And as I alluded to already, business is a constant evolution. Being in business almost 23 years, it'll be 23. Yeah, it'll be 23 in November. And this is April 2025 as I'm recording this, or as this one gets released. Business definitely evolves. And so be ready for that. It's kind of like if you're a parent, your children evolve. You have, the baby years and how they act. And then you got the toddler years and how they act, and the early elementary and how they act. And they just kind of morph into little different people as they get older. And your business does that as well. We do that as well. We, have learned more things. We have experienced more things. So we also evolve. So we got to make sure that we are ready and okay with the fact that our business is going to evolve. Originally when we started our business, we were only serving people who use a specific shopping cart called Xcart. That's all. Only Xcart people. Now we service Xcart, Magento, BigCommerce, Shopify. We also service course creators and coaches too. So we service people who use Kajabi, who use High Level, who need help with their email systems, because we have all this knowledge from all the years. So make sure that you're okay with that, evolution. If I had been super sad and stuck on the fact that, oh, we're not only just serving these Xcart people, these people who run the shopping cart software called Xcart, we would have fallen behind. Allowing ourselves, especially when our one customer who moved from Xcart, he was a big client of ours, and we worked with him every month. Well, he let us know ahead of time because we had such a good working relationship. Hey, we need to grow. We're going to go off of Xcart. We want to go to Magento. I want to give you a heads up. This is basically how the conversation went. I want to give you a heads up because you've been so good to me, but we'll be moving off into another platform soon. And so we're like, okay, sure. We'll help you till you're moved. We're happy to help you. If I'd freaked out right then, this is a person who bought hours from us every month, who helped me employ one of my employees every month. If I had been freaked out about that, I'm not sure where we would be today. What would have happened? Well, so the story keeps going. I might as well tell you the story. So the story keeps going. About 4 or 5 months after they made the switch to Magento, that client emailed us and was like, hey, we really miss you. Can you learn Magento? Can you learn Magento? We really want you to learn Magento because we really miss your services. We miss your white glove services and helping us. I was like, so I talked to my employee who worked with him, and he was like, sure, why not? So there we go. We started learning Magento. This was, I think, about 2011-ish, 2012. If we hadn't done that then, we wouldn't know Magento today. Plus, I was listening to the client. I was listening to what their needs were. And so many times we need to make sure that we're listening to what our customers are saying. Our customers were shifting. Some of them were outgrowing Xcart. Some of them wanted something a bit more enterprise-like Magento is. And so, be ready to evolve. It's okay. Definitely do gut checks, definitely, think about it and things like that. But give yourself permission to pivot when it is necessary. Don't be afraid of it. And then lesson number 5, and this is one of the most important lessons I feel like you can learn, is that relationships and community matter so much. They matter more than your numbers, your metrics, or anything. So being part of this podcasting community, podcasting myself, it has really brought me to more people. One, more people as far as like potential customers go. But even more importantly, it has brought me a bunch of business friends. And it's lonely to be sometimes an entrepreneur and owning your own business, right? And it's just so wonderful to have met these. I feel like there's several that are more like my business besties now. And many of them I've only known for maybe a year, maybe a year and a half, right? But they're just really great human beings, for one. Plus, they have their own business. So we have something in common there and we can help each other out, brainstorm business ideas, do some gut checks with each other because we each have our own different experiences. So all these guest collaborations led to business growth and partnerships. Many of them give me a shout out on social media whenever somebody needs some tech help. They're like, oh, you need to get a hold of Carrie Saunders. So we've been getting business from that. We've been making great relationships because of that. And we do, of course, the same thing for them. We shout them out whenever somebody needs help in their expertise. So focusing on engagement, and it can be engagement that's not even directly related to profits in your business, can really help your business growth. They are always your best marketing tool and your best support tool. And we're not talking about just sales here. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about being happy in our businesses and all the things. So business relationships are super important. So I've shared some of my biggest lessons on what I've learned in doing 100 podcasting episodes, and I'd love to hear yours too. So if you had to pick one thing that's transformed your business or your mindset, what would it be? Click that text Carrie button on this episode and let me know. And if you're hearing some weird noise in the background, the cats wanted to celebrate the 100th episode of the podcast as well. So they're having fun in some boxes in my room. So anyway, let's get back to the episode. So 100 episodes, I still can't believe it. It wouldn't have been possible without you. I want to thank you so much. I'm beyond grateful for each and every one of our listeners. I'm beyond grateful for your reviews, for your feedback. Every guest, they've all been so wonderful, and it's been wonderful to learn about these other amazing human beings. And all your messages of support on social media, they've all been wonderful, and I really appreciate them. So make sure you drop me a text on that text Carrie button in your podcast app. I'd love to hear, what is one of your biggest lessons you've learned from, doing what you're doing, and I'll give you a shout out on the podcast. And if you love this episode and this podcast, be sure to rate and review it and share it with a business friend so that they can get the help that we are putting out there in the world. We truly appreciate you and our listeners, and we want to give you a huge thank you and a huge shout out and a huge hug from our staff and from me to you. We just really appreciate your support of this podcast, and we will see you next week.